What's up, guys? So, I want to talk about health, then success. So, what I mean by that is it's important that you have your mental health in order before you go out into the world and try to succeed. So, I want to talk about a little story, a dinner I had with a successful entrepreneur. She runs a life coaching business, consulting type of thing, company, and I was having dinner with her assistant, and it was interesting. Over the course of like an hour and a half, 2 hours of the dinner, got to know about her, more of her inner darker secrets. They're not secrets, they're just inner sides to her. So learned that she had a history with drug addiction and with child abuse. Her stepfather would beat her as a kid, but nonetheless, she's still successful now. Millions of dollars, lives in a beautiful area. And so it just kind of struck me as strange. I mean, we all love the from the bottom to the top sort of stories, or rags to riches kind of thing, no doubt. But at the same token, if you're a coach, people like to see leaders with consistency, of like they're consistently telling the same story, sort of thing. And the thing with her was that whenever the topic of drug addiction and childhood came up, she wanted to just kind of just not talk about it. What's the word I'm looking for? Dismiss. She wanted to like dismiss it. She didn't want to talk about it. And she even said that whenever people talk to her about it, she doesn't like it. And I found that very sad in a way, because I could totally contribute to her overall story of success. And I think that a big thing that I took away from it all was that whenever you compartmentalize that bad part of your history and separate it from your new identity of entrepreneurship and go-getter and workaholic sort of thing, you're essentially like ripping out a part of your existence. You're taking your whole timeline of who you are and you're leaving out a very crucial part of it that made you you, that made you yourself. Contributed to your personality, your discipline, your motivation, and it led me to the idea that we should not try to go for success until we are okay with ourselves, spiritually or emotionally, mentally, mental health. And I'm not saying that you should just like work at a gas station. There's anything wrong with that, but work at like a gas station, whatever, making minimum wage for your whole life, if for that kind of scenario. But you shouldn't use work as a substitute for your general overall happiness. There's so much more in life than work, than succeeding in entrepreneurship or in work, working for someone else. And if you're not okay with yourself, especially in this case, which is a life coach, like telling your story, motivating people, like you have to include your whole identity. And by just secluding this one crucial part about your life, you're totally leaving out the ability to connect with other people and the ability to connect with yourself. Whenever she was talking about her son, who she said that she was the most proud of, like of all the things she's accomplished or done in her life or experienced, her son she was the most proud of. Which I found also interesting because like throughout the whole dinner she was talking about all of her accolades, everything she's accomplished. And her assistant was there like looking at her with like infatuation, just like, oh my gosh, I love you, sort of thing. And it was just this side note to that, it seemed like a big validation sort of conquest to this whole entrepreneurship thing for her. But that's a different topic. But back to her son. So she's 44, son's 4 years old. She spent most of her adult working life in, go mode, like grind sort of thing. But her most, and it all paid off, but her most proud thing is her son, which there's nothing wrong with being a mother. In fact, I think that it's important to realize the human nature of things, that we do like to have families. We do like to have sons and daughters and grandpas and grandmas and everything, dads, moms, and by not acknowledging that, now she's a mom that is always on the phone with not conferences. Well, she goes to conferences and stuff too, but meetings on the phone, phone conference, I guess you want to call it. If you want to call it that. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that no one, like, there's all these like women in entrepreneurship, women empowerment, women in business sort of things, and that's great. That's fine. But they're not honest about it. Just like this lady, this woman wasn't honest with herself. She missed out on all those years of great raising her kid and stuff. Now she's gonna be 60. She's gonna be 60 whenever this person is like, I know she'll be like 59, almost 60 whenever they go to college. That's crazy to me. But anyways, when talking about her son, she was talking about how one of her biggest fears is that her son would experience similar kind of pain that she felt when she was a kid. And it was so important and emotional for her that she started crying, like almost as soon as she started talking about it. Which means that she wasn't just crying then. Like, she's had these tears, this pain inside of her all this time. It's just that she never thinks about it. And whenever she brought it up, just the tears started coming, and she had to stop herself from talking about it so that she'd not cry more. And that just really highlighted the importance of mental health to me, and how it affects not just the poor, not just the rich, not just everyone. And in fact, it can contribute in some way. In this case, to someone becoming successful, was this constant desire to escape from their past and create a new identity, a new purpose. Well, while everyone should have a good purpose and identity, she found a good identity was formed on the basis of escaping her old one, which is more of running away than trying to. It is more of a, in fight or flight sort of terms, it's more flight, less than fight. And fight is more respectable, honorable. And one of the things that's interesting also about her story, in regards to the drug addiction part, is that she said that whenever she was working in nightclubs in her early 20s, she was addicted to cocaine and speed. And for me, and she talked about her moment of realization that she had. She was like in trouble. She needed to change things. And I won't say that, like, what the moment was. It might, personally identify her or something. So, but she talked about it, and I asked her, like, so let me back up. So she talked about it and said this thing that really changed her perspective. And then she was like, but I think all of that was a waste of time. None of it, I could have been, she was saying, I could have had a $500 million company by now if I didn't waste those years with the drugs and partying and stuff. But at the same time, that's contributed to her becoming who she is. So if you're going to have that in your life, the past is the past, you can't change it, you should at least embrace it. And analyze it, think about it, process it, and move on from it in a good way, as that's part of your identity. That's part of your history. And I related to this because I've had drug addiction in the past. For 2 years, I was addicted to Adderall, which is similar to speed. And this brings me back to the whole validation thing, is that those types of drugs, the uppers, extremely validating drugs. Like they make you feel love for perhaps the first time. For me, it did. For people that went through trauma as a kid, sometimes they can feel like they deserve it. That's why some people who've been through that kind of stuff, they'll find themselves in bad situations consistently throughout life because they haven't realized that that doesn't define them as a person. That's something that happened in their life, but it doesn't define them. So through that, and I didn't tell her about that, but through that, it was interesting. It was almost to me, and this, I can't say any of this is really how she felt. I have a pretty good idea of how she felt, but obviously she's the only one that can really know. From my experience, that kind of entrepreneurship path is all about validation. You're getting up in front of crowds, you're creating this aura of authority and credibility, and then getting cheers and applauses and changing people's lives for the better. You can't really get much more validating than that. It's like really, really awesome feeling to help someone. It's almost like the reason why, like one of the reasons why people volunteer. It's extremely validating. You feel great afterwards. You feel like you really made a difference in the world. And yeah. So to me, it almost seems like she was substituting the drugs and the validation from them with this workaholic, purpose-driven, make $1 million sort of thing. And to me, that's not okay. I mean, it is what it is, but she didn't seem happy. She seemed like she was constantly grabbing for something, constantly talking about her accolades and stuff, and constantly seeking that sort of approval, or at least saying things that would make you think that she was looking for approval. And yeah, I think it's just, that's gonna just cause problems. You're just constantly holding back tears. So even though she was a millionaire, she doesn't seem very happy to me. And even though people like that can fake a smile, they can laugh and stuff and joke around, be super social, doesn't mean that they're happy. And in fact, if you get them talking long enough, you ask the right questions, you can usually find out pretty quickly, like in this case, that they really aren't that happy. And even though she's happy being a mother now, even though she's probably proud of all of her accolades and accomplishments with her career, the identity that she has compartmentalized and thrown away, or is trying not to talk about it, it's always going to be with her. When she looks in the mirror every day, that's still there. I mean, she might not think about it every time she looks in the mirror, but it's still part of her. When you're in the shower and you think of some like stupid thing you did in the past, I'm sure that has come up in her mind before. All those things. And when you're in a vulnerable moment, those things come to mind. It could be when you're drunk or when you're like, just in any vulnerable moment, but usually that kind of stuff happens when you're drunk. Tears come. It could be a word or a topic that comes to mind, and just the words start coming out, and everything comes back to mind. So, the main point I'm trying to get at is that learn from her and know that your mental health is important. Just because you're successful doesn't mean you're happy. And honestly, at the end of your life, would you rather be rich or happy? And let's take the whole like family and legacy stuff out of the equation. It's purely like selfish. It'd be happiness.